Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
This town needs an enema.
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big black bat?
When Gotham is ashes, you have my permission to die. Gotham! This is your liberation.
My mother warned me about getting into cars with strange men.
This isn't a car. 20 years in Gotham. How many good guys are left? How many stayed that way? He has the power to wipe out the entire human race. Tell me, do you bleed? You will.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
He's a silent guardian. A watchful protector. In the dark night. I'm Batman. Let the games begin.
Welcome to the Batman on Film podcast. Here is your host, Bill Jett Ramey, co-host Rick Shew, and the BOF Roundtablers, Justin Kowalski and Ryan Haas.
Hey now, you are listening to episode 84, volume 2, of course, of the Batman on Film podcast. BOF is a proud member, as well as the sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network. Check out all the shows at BatmanPodcastNetwork.com. That reminds me, Ryan, can you take a look at that list of shows and let me know which ones are no longer even up and running? I'm not sure. I need to update.
Yeah, there's a couple that don't really exist anymore and stuff. But yeah, I mean, a good majority are still really good shows.
You are good at that kind of stuff, so that's why I ask. All right, I am your podcast host, as well as the founder of Batman on Film, Bill Ramey. And for today, I am going to ease out of the captain's chair and become a BOF roundtabler, basically, and let Rick slip into my usual seat and guide us through this show. For for this show, I want to be a panelist more than the facilitator. So let me bring in today's host, the usual co-host of the Batman on Film podcast, straight from Mesquite, Texas, straight from Plano, Texas, but by way of Mesquite, Texas, Rick Shew. Oh, hold on, Rick. Hold on.
What's that? What?
Batman on Film, authoritative, definitive, the dadgum original.
Man, see, this is...
Can I leave that part out?
Email me a script, dude.
No, that's fine.
Authoritative, definitive, and do I have to say dadgum?
No. Yes.
The dadgum original.
That is going to be a T-shirt. I've already.
Now that would be a funny T-shirt.
It is.
All right.
It's going to be a T-shirt. All right, go ahead.
So if you guys are listening, we are the dadgum original. Okay, so I am taking over for this show, and I feel like I'm just going to inadvertently start talking about Star Wars because typically when I host a Batman on Film, take the official host chair, that's what we're discussing. But anyway, more on that later because I'll do some plugs and some things that we have on the horizon. First of all, let me just say hello to Ryan Haas, our infamous roundtabler who's here, and he is such a badass because he's a new dad, and I know this is a tough time at 10 a.m., right? We are recording this at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time on Sunday, whatever the date is, the 23rd of July, 2017. And any minute now, that kid could start crying. Is she napping right now, Ryan?
She is, but she will wake up any minute, I guarantee it.
Yeah, I can guarantee that as well, sir. So thanks for doing this. It's never the same without you. And then we really miss Justin, who right now is in San Diego at Comic-Con. He has some really cool stuff that we've already posted online that he's filmed and put together. And so can't wait for him to come back on this show, and talk to us all about what happened and who we met and all that good stuff. And Ryan, as I understand it, he has sent you over something to read. So anyway, we look forward to Justin's return because I know he has a lot of exciting things to tell us. We have a guest today that I want to introduce, my good friend Conner Behrens. Am I saying your last name correctly,
sir?
You
are. Congratulations.
Conner Behrens. Conner and I met, and I know we've told this story a million times, buddy, but we've got to do it, to the audience now. We met, I guess a year ago.
Almost,
roughly.
December.
Almost a year ago at Rogue One. I saw a press screening of Star Wars Rogue One at a theater down in Houston. I made that drive. For those that don't know the significance of that, it's about a 4.5-hour drive for me to that particular theater, so it's not fun. That's a very drab drive. But anyway, I got down there.
You posted a picture of that online, and I think people from both of your Twitter followers and Connor's Twitter followers were like, hey, don't you guys know? Shouldn't you guys know each other?
Right. No, and we met there, and he's just a sharp guy, and we became friends. We're on Twitter together, Facebook, and he's a very passionate DC fan and just a very passionate person in general, and we're just thrilled to have you, Conner. Welcome to the show,
thank
sir.
you. I'm extremely happy to be here, and I'm very excited to talk about all things DC.
Awesome. We've got a lot to talk about, man. There's a lot of DC things happening as we speak. All right, so here we are, guys. So anyway, yesterday was a big day at Comic-Con. Well, first of all, let's back up just a little bit.
Yes.
Before we get into what the events that transpired yesterday, let's roll the clock back just a couple of days. And the Hollywood Reporter put out a piece about the doubt that Ben Affleck will be reprising his role as Batman Bruce Wayne post-Justice League. Now, we have been speculating about this for a better part of a year. This is not a rumor mill kind of thing. We've said it's speculation. It's educated speculation, and there is a big difference. But we've said all along roughly that we think there's a 50-50 chance that he's coming back. I personally think that that's probably still the case. But, he did have to address this at Comic-Con yesterday, and when he was asked about it, he gave a pretty rousing response. He said, and I thought this was a pretty cool thing for him to say, he said, hey, man, Matt Reeves is directing this. I'd crawl around on the ground as an effing ape for that guy, much less play the coolest character in the universe for him. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said. So, Conner, I'm going to actually go to you since you're our guest to answer the question first. The first question I want to ask you is just to get you on record. Have you ever had any doubts that Affleck was returning? And did the Hollywood Reporter news and Ben Affleck's response to it yesterday change the needle for you in either way?
Have I had any doubts that Affleck is leaving? Ever since he dropped out as a director, I have to be honest, I have had some doubts just because he seemed so gung-ho about becoming the director of Batman, writing it. He was really the captain of this ship, and then suddenly, after numerous times of saying, no, I'm going to direct it, it's absolutely going to happen, he suddenly says, I'm not. So after that, I kind of realized, they're really trying to just make it seem that everything is completely and utterly fine. And so Ben might say some things that he might not necessarily believe. And so ever since then, and I think that report came out, I could be wrong, I think it came out late last year, that he was done, he was not going to direct. After that, I did have some doubts. Now, with his comments at Comic-Con, I want to believe so badly. I do, because I know many other people will disagree with me. I really enjoy his Batman. His Batman's deeply flawed, and for some people, his Batman, especially in B vs. S, was extremely dark, almost too dark. But I just like Ben in the role. I think he's a great Bruce Wayne, and I would love for him to stay on. His comments, I want to believe. I really do, because I would love to have him be in another DC movie, let alone, another Batman film. So I'm hoping he stays on, and I want to believe. I really can't say his comments are definitive one way or another. I will say he did an interview with Entertainment Weekly that says he had a contract for 3 films, so he has one more in his contract. So
yeah, if Warner's wants to make it, that's what he said.
Yes.
Well, technically, George Clooney's still under contract for another Batman film, and so is Val Kilmer. So
right.
Let me say this. We did a podcast Friday where we talked about all this, and it was who was it? It was Ryan and me and just us 3, right, Rick?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Justin was out of it.
And we all said, and I've always said I wanted Ben Affleck to continue to play Batman. I just have been hearing since last year that it may not be the case, and it all started, I'm not going to repeat the whole thing, but it all started when I heard someone told me he ain't directing that movie. And, I kind of sort of said that, indirectly on podcast and on DOF, and of course, and then what happened, he goes on Jimmy Kimmel and says he's directing, and then mere days later, he's sending out a press release saying he's not directing. So, what happened yesterday doesn't surprise me at all. They probably did the right thing by just, let's just get it out of the way. And, they had a crowd where what he said was going to get a positive reaction. So, that was probably good PR. But like I said, I expected him to say that. There's nothing else he could say but that, period. I mean, and I was talking to someone this morning who's in the know and he said, look, he's not lying. Warner Brothers isn't lying. That's what's called protecting $1 billion. Period.
Yeah. Right.
You're protecting
We've said that
$1
for
billion
months, too.
Right. Yeah. He had to marry himself to that role yesterday. He had to. There's nothing worse than bad PR going into a film that already has a little bit of baggage with it, considering the response to a lot of the movies that have come before it. And it's a multi-million-dollar project. It is a big, big business. He had to marry himself. I'm not saying he's not going to play him. He very well might. No. That's great if he does. I also want him to return, but that yesterday doesn't really mean anything.
It means nothing.
It means nothing.
I still think it's 50-50. And I want to say this to those who are listening, and I know some of you who say you don't, but you do, who are, have bashed Batman on Film, bashed Rick, me, Ryan, Justin for, quote unquote, hating on Ben Affleck. About at least half or more of you who are now, quote unquote, the biggest Ben Affleck Batman fans in the world were having a meltdown in 2013 when it was announced that he was cast as Batman. And that I'm right. And you know who you are. And I'm talking to you. So this, I've already got stuff on Twitter of how does it feel to be wrong and all, whatever. I couldn't care less about any of that nonsense, because I still think it's 50-50. I think he said exactly what he had to say yesterday. I think Warner Brothers and him got together and they came up and then said, this is what we're going to do. Who knows what's going to happen? And we're going to get to it later, especially after this Flashpoint news came out. So, that's just where I stand. I don't have anything else really to say about that whole situation other than I'm not shocked, and this is exactly what I expected.
Well, and listen, there are a lot of people that are truly passionate about BVS, about him, and I believe their intentions are not they're not malicious. They're passionate, and they feel like
very defensive.
They're defensive. They feel like people are out to get something they love, and I understand and respect that. There's a world of difference from those people, and you can tell how they respond to people that are just a little hateful towards people that will report things that are just accurate. And I want to take this to Ryan now. So, Ryan, in terms of the Hollywood Reporter, let me just ask you directly, sir, is that a legitimate source in your opinion?
Trades like the Hollywood Reporter and Variety are legitimate sources. They are not quote silly bloggers.
Would you explain? Would you explain to the audience what you mean by trade?
Trade. It's a Hollywood insider type of source magazine where they break news. They talk about things at official capacity. A lot of times the studios will give them information to put out there.
That's where they get their information.
That is exactly where they get their information. Exactly. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And they've been around, and a lot of these have been around for years. It's not like it's just a silly blog that just popped up that's saying stuff just to say it. That's not what these magazines do. Although I was a lot critical about how that THR article came out. But in general, trades are legitimate sources. Yeah.
And let me say this: could there be a little bit of bad blood between Warner Brothers and Affleck? Because I'm going to say that information came from the studio. Someone in the studio provided that information, and you're correct, Ryan. There was some stuff in there that was like,
Really?
Yeah, like a lot about how he
there.
can't keep up his physical physique.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you think about it, I'm like, his Batman is supposed to be old, first of all. Second of all, he was in great shape in BVS. And third of all, we have movies like Logan, which are all about like super old, superheroes and stuff. And I think that's just a little bit out of touch. But
hey, Connor, what exactly did you don't have to quote it, but what did the article say about his body shaming?
Body shaming. Well, basically what it said is, he's not Tom Cruise. He's been struggling to keep up his physical appearance for this Batman role.
That's ridiculous. And I say shame on you, Hollywood Reporter, for putting that garbage in there. Okay, Ryan, so back to you, sir. So we're talking about the Hollywood Reporter. It's legitimate. Let me ask you this. Why did that, if it is legitimate, and I agree with you that it is, why did that come out the day before the Justice League panel in San Diego?
I really can't answer that. I mean, there's somebody wanted it out there.
You gotta think.
Okay, go ahead.
Journalism, as a journalist now who writes for a newspaper and how it's gravitated towards online, you got to find the best opportunity for the most clicks. And imagine dropping a story about Ben Affleck possibly dropping out of Batman the day before Warner Brothers panel. Yeah, and I can guarantee you that article got so many clicks, and it was probably the Hollywood Reporter's most popular article this week.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But, you're right. But here's my question, though. But why would they intentionally want any bad blood between them and Warner Brothers when I just don't believe that somebody at Warner Brothers wanted this out when it came out, right? Like, drop this next week. Because here's the thing. Let's just say that somebody did want it out to just start trying to get the truth out there. Let's just assume that was the motive behind it. Well, they had to know that they're just going to deny it. And then once Affleck goes on record denying it and doubles down on everything, it makes them look foolish, and it makes this, and then it perpetuates this whole thing in terms of, is he doing it? Is he not? Oh, he said he was. And it just goes back to, we've talked about this a lot, what the word confirmed means. And right now in the DCEU, the word confirmed is very loose. But
at best,
right. So Ryan, what are your overall thoughts in terms of how that played out, and then how Ben Affleck responded to it? Where do you stand on him returning or not returning at this juncture?
I mean, on my bottom line is, like I keep saying, all of this is absolutely just a snapshot in time, and we need to wait until Justice League comes out and runs its course before anybody will really know what's going to happen. And just think about this. If to back up my snapshot in time argument, if you look back 1 year ago, look at Warner Brothers Comic-Con panel where you had Ben Affleck announced as Batman director, Rick Famuyiwa as the Flash director, and all that kind of stuff. Look how much can change in a year. So Affleck said all the right stuff, and I'm glad to hear it, and I'm going to take him at his word right now. But anything could change, and we just got to wait until later to see how that's all going to happen.
That's exactly right. And go ahead, Connor, go.
We'll get to it when we talk to Flashpoint, but boy, oh boy, do I have a huge theory about how Flashpoint might be used.
All right, cool. I can't wait to get to that. That is definitely on our itinerary, because that's a pretty big thing to discuss. So, all right, so let's shift gears here. Actually, before we do, let me just go on record saying my definitive opinion on this is that I think what he did yesterday was something he had to do. Capital H, capital A, capital D. Had to do it. I gave an analogy to Bill the other day on the phone. As many of you know, I have an extensive restaurant background, and I've been an operations director where I was over multiple restaurants and whatnot. And there's been times where I can remember an instance where we had a general manager at one restaurant and they were moving, okay? But we weren't 100% sure if they were. It looked like they had taken another job somewhere else. They were very beloved. We wanted to really make sure we were careful, because that particular location had bad GMs before. The staff was in a good place. We didn't want to lose any staff members. We wanted to find the right replacement, and we wanted that general manager to help transition the new person. Well, things leaked at some point. Somebody heard something. What did we all decide to do? Well, we have to marry ourselves to this, unfortunately, right now. We have to protect this business. We don't want staff jumping ship. We don't want bad blood. We don't want ill will. We don't want anything. So the GM and I and others, we all decided, hey, listen, they're not going anywhere. They're here. They're staying. And then, a few weeks later, we were able to make that announcement. We apologize for, hey, we're sorry we had to sort of cover that up a little bit, guys, but we had to make sure that all the ducks were in a row, and we didn't want to send out a message that was false, that whatever, we spun it, okay? And that GM transitioned the new general manager, and everybody rode off happily in the sunset. Now, to me, that is like, it's anecdotal, and it's some of you might be saying, why is he telling that story? Well, in a lot of ways, that's what this is on like steroids. That's all this is. They're protecting their asset. They're protecting their people. They're protecting their business. He has to say that. He has to go on record, not just say it, but has to marry himself to that part, especially after that report came out. So I still stand by, I think it's less likely he's going to come back versus him coming back. I'm going to stick with my 40-60, okay. And I hope that pendulum swings in the right direction where he does return. And if he does, I will be celebrating, and nobody can say I told you so, because I still think it's a good chance he's returning. And that's something that I would actually be very happy about. So,
yeah, what is it? What's with this "I told you so" directed toward us?
Well, that's just.
What are you?
It's not just us. They're doing it to John Campea online. They're doing it to other outlets. They're doing it to anybody that wants to report
Slash Film or
people, right?
Collider. Yeah, everybody.
Paul Surley. There's a whole bunch of people that are going through this. They're not. They don't want to hear what they don't want to hear, Bill.
I know.
Exactly.
And so they've completely forgotten about the Jimmy Kimmel.
No, they don't. They didn't forget.
Well, they did. Their thing is like, well, that only happened one time, and now that means it happens every time.
I'm getting it. It's a false equivalency because he was having alcohol problems, and I'm going. No one ever said the reason why. We were just saying he's not. We were hearing reports he may not direct. Yes, he is. Then he's not. Oh well, he's just
pulled
not
out of another film to deal with
because he had alcohol problems. Okay, whatever the reason, we said he was.
I know. Look, I'm trying not to let this drive me nuts, but there's just a little bit of it that it's insane. I should know better. I've done this for 19 plus years now, but it's just, I mean, we've all said time and time again, we want Ben Affleck to keep playing Batman. It just telling you that's may not happen. I mean, I don't understand how that's hating on Ben Affleck.
I told somebody yesterday, I'll donate $1,000 to your favorite charity if you can find anywhere that I've ever said that he's not doing it and I don't want him to do it. I would literally do that. All right, so let's not waste our time talking about Twitter trolls here. Let's move on. Let's talk about something that I think was really cool. So Ben Affleck, we hope you return. We'll end it there. We'll see. Nothing's going to happen until Justice League runs its course, though. We won't know. All right, so they Warner Brothers released the new official poster.
Yes.
For Justice League yesterday. It was yesterday, right? Okay.
Yeah, a couple hours before the panel.
Yes. These days are bleeding together. Yes, it was yesterday. Anyway, I, for one, thought it was awesome. I love the new poster. It looked very Alex Ross-esque to me. Bill, I saw that you posted that old Queen album cover. Was that, were you saying that had something that looked like the new Justice League poster to you? Is that why you posted that?
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Of course. They dropped the new poster. So, and I didn't even think about the Queen thing at first. And then someone on the Facebook page, Batman on Film Facebook page said, reminds me of Queen. And I went, oh my God, it does. And then it just in my head, I couldn't get that out of my mind. But also the first thing I thought of was, it looks like an Alex Ross painting. So
yes,
and I'm a fan of Alex Ross.
I think it's cool. I love Alex Ross stuff. What did you think of it?
So yeah, I thought it was awesome. I thought overall it was really cool. I'm not a totally huge fan of using the logos and the wording, but that's not doesn't kill me. But yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, there's nothing else to say really, except that
who's in the center of that poster?
That would be the Batman.
Is there? Or you think that was intentional?
Well, Alex Ross always has Batman in the center too. But
yeah. Alex Ross usually has Batman and Superman towards the center of group.
We always, Connor, the reason I asked that, we have this kind of funny thing going where we're saying that the DCEU is becoming more like the Batman.
Oh, no, it totally is. They're doing my boy Soup Strong. We'll get to that later. But yeah, it's Batman and Friends.
Yeah, Batman and Friends. So, Connor, did you like the poster?
Oh, yeah, it's great. It's probably the best poster they released so far for the marketing. Absolutely.
I agree. I love it. And you know what? Spider-Man, Marvel could take a cue from cool posters. I mean, I love
I know.
Spider-Man: Homecoming, but man, those posters were bad.
Speaking of Marvel, they released new Black Panther and Thor Ragnarok posters yesterday, and those look fantastic.
Yeah, it was a great day for posters.
Yeah, it kind of was. That Thor poster is cool. I agree. I was pleasantly surprised with that poster.
I love the poster. I thought, based on the Alex Ross source, like all the characters are in the same, lineup as in the source, and I love the logos in the tagline, and I like the tagline. I just think it's all very graphic, very cool. I think it's a win. I kind of ragged on Justin a little bit because he was like, because he's our resident graphic designer, and he was like, man, those logos in there look goofy and cheesy. I'm like, whoa, you think Aquaman surfing on the Batmobile is awesome, but you think logos in the tagline are cheesy? But
that was great, actually.
Yeah, but I love those posters. It's good.
Didn't you knock on Bill too because he didn't think something was cool you liked, and you're like, you're the same guy that liked Elmer Fudd in Batman?
Yeah, because he was ragging on Arkham Asylum too.
Elmer Fudd in Batman was
it's good. It's good.
Was good. It was I thought it was going to be complete nonsense. It was done really well. Both stories. If you haven't read that, guy, if you're listening, haven't read that because you think it's just completely idiotic or preposterous. Pick that up and give it a
Tom King. So
give it a read. Yeah. Both stories. There's two stories. So
all right, let's get to posters. Cool, everybody agrees. All right, let's move on to the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. Yesterday, I don't even know what you would call it. They're calling it a sneak peek. I mean, I was very surprised how long it was. I mean, it was north of 4 minutes. And 4 minutes and 11 seconds. And it even had a little bit of a sneak peek introducing the sneak peek, which I thought was strange. But it was the new let's just call it for all practical purposes the new Justice League trailer. Although this is not an official trailer. This was for Comic-Con. But see, none of this stuff is exclusive anymore. Things that come out at these events, just they go online almost minutes after, or if not simultaneously. It's just they have to these days. I mean, with very few exceptions. So it's not an official trailer, but it's certainly some new footage and some interesting stuff to discuss. And Conner, let's start with you because I know that you. I'm starting with you. I know that we'll start here positive here, right? You seem to, based on your tweets, you seem to really love what you saw. Is that fair to say?
I think that would be fair to say. Yes, sir. Yes.
All right. Well, talk about it, man. What did you like about it? Just walk us through your thought process.
I was a little nervous that this film, because while I enjoy V versus S, it's not very accessible. For being a blockbuster, that movie's not very accessible to general audiences. And for me, Justice League, if you're looking at this trailer, it looks a lot more accessible. There seems to be a wider color palette. There seems to be a bit more jovial fun. Aside from every scene of Batman is him talking in the rain. It sparked something in me. I got really excited. I mean, listen, as long as I can remember, when I was crawling on the ground, I just loved watching, Batman and Superman and the whole Justice League and cartoon shows. And so I've been waiting for this movie since I was basically born. And so I'm already a little biased, but there's nothing in this trailer that makes me cringe or makes me get extremely nervous. I think it's a good thing that Joss Whedon is here, because he can take all of Snyder's hopefully crazy visuals and put them in a
more grounded story.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G path. I really enjoyed it. It's all the references to Green Lantern. It was a comic book, fanboy's dream. And so I can understand why this trailer got a bit more positive reaction than the last one, which was very, it had the whole come together cover. This one felt much more wider, bigger, accessible, and it felt much more like a big budget comic book movie than the previous trailer did. Well, I'll get into some of my few negatives once everyone else talks, but for me overall, I mean, I think it looks promising, and I'm just, I'm a fan that's hoping for the best, because I want this universe to succeed. I like everyone they have cast in the role. There's no one that they've cast as the League that I really don't like. And so I'm just hoping for the best. After Wonder Woman, you want Warner Brothers to continue that pathway to the right direction.
Sure, absolutely. And we all on this panel love Wonder Woman. It's a fantastic film, and I also noticed that they sure opened up pretty quickly with her. All right, Bill, we're going to swing to you next. I think that would just make the most sense here. What are your thoughts, man?
It is exactly what I thought it would be. It is exactly, again, what I thought it would be, and it hits its target audience on the nose. It played to the crowd that was sitting in Hall H at the San Diego Convention Center during Comic-Con yesterday, and that's all I will say. I'm gonna be nice.
Well, no, I want you to say more than that. So, if you don't mind, let me just ask you a couple of direct questions.
Okay, do it that way.
Was this trailer? Did you feel like there was anything different from an aesthetic standpoint, from a vibe, from anything, versus the first trailer that was dropped? Not
really.
The sizzle reel. I'm talking about the actual official trailer that was dropped.
No, not really. It still seems, and I'm not trying to pile on this guy, but it seems very Zack Snyder-ish. I think it's going to be, even with as much influence as Joss Whedon has on this film, it's going to be hard to get the Zack Snyder out of it. There is, and you know what, Rick, I'm going to bring it up because your buddy on Facebook said it best. It reminded him, it's going to be like, is this going to be like 2.5 hours of the last 10 minutes of Wonder Woman? And I couldn't have said it better than that. It's, they still have the rock and roll type stuff they're going with, which is completely, they're changing from that. That's not going to be part of the movie because they brought in Danny Elfman to do a new score. They got rid of all the Junkie XL stuff, which was, I think the whole thing was going to be very rock and rollish and very, heavy metal and awesome and, action, balls out action. It's just, look, this isn't my cup of tea. And I want to like it. I don't hate it. I don't hate anything about it. I want it to succeed. I just have no interest in this. There's nothing about it that interests me at all.
Let me ask you this, Bill.
Yeah.
Is it like going into the comic book store and you see an issue of Justice League and it's got all these different characters and there's Batman in the center and all this crazy stuff that you don't really care about is going on, and do you think, well, that's not really for me, but I'm glad Batman's in that? Do you feel the same way, like towards like a comic book version of it, or is it different than that?
And I know that you just asked Bill a question, but I'm going to ask a question for you to elaborate on that question. So I know this is a little trickery here, but are you asking him basically, do you just prefer Batman not to live in a world with gods? Is that kind of where you're going with this?
Well, I mean, it's that plus a little bit more. I mean, by putting Batman with all those characters, it's not the Batman. Things change, and it's not the Batman you would read every week or whatever. But
no.
And Christopher Nolan was very against.
Yes.
He always wanted Batman to be in his own world.
Not just Batman, but everybody, each hero.
All superhero. I could go off a tangent on that because I agree with him completely. And I think the mess that you got with starting after Man of Steel, when they wanted to get to Justice League like yesterday, is what caused all these problems they've had over the last year plus. But look, I grew up, I was a kid in the 70s. I grew up with Super Friends. I watched it. I have old Justice League comic books. But my Batman was always reading Detective and Batman proper, the flagship Batman title. And I've always preferred Batman and his world being its own thing. And we've talked about it before because I had long discussions. I really got a good education on this from Michael Uslan, is that DC historically, that's how DC was set up for decades. They were all little bitty individual universes with very little crossover and so forth. Whereas Marvel was always based as one single universe. I'm not saying there wasn't a DC comic book universe in the 50s and 60s and 70s, but I'm saying
the way they were created.
That's just the way it was, So I'm biased, and I will admit that. But with that said, I've also said before, I got my Batman with the Dark Knight trilogy. So I look. There was no one out there, and frankly, I did. I did a little cheerleading for BVS, and was very excited for it leading up to its release. And
everybody on the podcast did.
Yes. Yeah. So go back and listen.
You were genuinely bummed that you didn't like it.
I was extremely. It upset me tremendously.
And you are a fan of Zack Snyder. You and he talked in the last several months directly.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Yes. I am a fan of Zack Snyder.
Watchmen's a great
I am a huge fan of Watchmen.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. I love Man of Steel, and it got a lot of shit. And I
do too. I do too.
I didn't like Batman v Superman. I just didn't. And it's something that, and I was talking to Rick the other day on the phone. It's just, look, I can put in Batman 89 and watch it anytime. I can put in any of the Dark Knight trilogy films and watch them, and I can see myself doing that for years and years to come. I don't care if I ever see BVS again. On the other hand, you got Wonder Woman, who, when it comes out on Blu-ray, I'll watch it because I have a connection. I love that film. So, which is, again, a great example of, look, what you can do if you just keep these in their own little world, but I'm not going to get off on that tangent. So, and I know I went all the way around the neighborhood to walk across the street here, but look, I hope I have no expectations for this film. I'm not excited for it. I will be fair to it, and when I see it, if I love it, I will say that. If it's shit, I will say that as well. And you know what? And to be fair and to be honest and full disclosure to everybody here and everybody listening, I know a lot about this film. I know a lot about this film that I can't talk about, and I'm not bragging or anything. I just do. So that there's some of that is probably tempered my enthusiasm as well. So, honestly, I get it. I know there are a lot of fans like Conner, a lot of people, and Conner's you're a great example of the folks I'm talking about, sir. I'm that have been waiting for this, like he said, since they were little. I get that, and I'm not trying to take that excitement away from anybody, but it is what it is. I'm where I'm at, and I there would be nothing to make me happier than to end up really liking and enjoying this film when I see it in November. So I'm sorry to be long-winded and so forth, but
no, I'm glad I got you talking.
Yeah.
I think it's important for people to hear your perspective on this.
And see, Bill, I can even understand why you don't like Batman v Superman. I mean, if we can just understand one another and where we're coming from,
absolutely,
that's going to create a discussion that's a lot less heated. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people online need to really think about before they tweet.
It needs to be a little bit more constructive than all this insane back and forth that's going on. Yeah,
I said something on Twitter the other day. I was just like, if you love something, don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. But also don't go out of your way to like attack someone because they don't. You can't be hypocritical. Love what you like and accept that other people are not going to maybe like that as well.
Yes,
and Conner, that's very well stated. I saw that tweet. I think I may even have retweeted it. If not, I meant to. I appreciated it very much. And let me also just say this too. There's a difference, Bill, with someone like you and Conner, and I don't mean this disrespectful to either one of you, because quite frankly, Bill, I'm much closer to you in age than I am him. But your age and Conner's age is his age. What I'm saying is that, Conner, the stuff you grew up on, I think this is a little bit more your cup of tea.
Well, yeah, because I'm the ripe old age of 23.
Right, but I'm just saying that all this stuff with Justice League and everything was much bigger to you growing up than it was to me.
Oh yeah,
That's what I mean by that. Batman to me has always been this more or less solo detective, and that stuff started coming later. You know, I mean, there was obviously some crossover stuff going on, but not like it was. And I mean, what year could I safely say here that this really started to take off?
Well, I know for a fact that like I was like 10 years old and like Bruce Timm's Justice League show was like coming on and stuff. Like that's what I was.
And what year was that, if you don't mind me asking?
Like 2000. So I was 6 years old.
So 2000. You know what I was doing in 2000? I mean, I was not watching Justice League. I was no, I don't mean that rude. I was reading comics and I was excited for the next round of Batman films if they ever were to come out. And because we were coming out of the Batman and Robin debacle. So yeah, it's just coming from different places, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you know what it's like to be a 42-year-old Star Wars fan and defend the prequels to people my age? It's weird. People think I'm crazy, right? I always go back to that, but it's true. You talk about like having to defend something you love. Try defending those damn prequels to people. It'll give you a heart attack.
Or the Super Mario Brothers movie. Yeah.
Let's not get too far here today.
Yeah, but we all have our things that just mean something to us.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I've never personally, and I would never, and if I ever have or if I ever do slip, I will apologize profusely. If someone is respectful and just says, "Hey man, look, I'm a big fan of this BVS stuff and I'm sorry that you're not, and I'm excited for Justice League." You know what I would say to anybody that said that to me? I'm so happy for you. That's awesome. Yes, and I hope you enjoy this movie. What I don't say is, "Oh, you guys are a bunch of sycophant ass kissers and you just and Nolan movies suck." And then all of a sudden, then the redneck in me comes out, and I throw the gloves off, and then it becomes left shoe politics, and I'm not even. It's not even.
Then you can see Rick's face become really red.
Yeah, no, and I'm somewhat kidding here to make a point, but there is a point to be made here. Is that I do genuinely want us to talk more respectful to one another about, and I say this all the time, and I mean it. And Connor, I'm not even being hyperbolic here. It is more intense for me doing Batman on film than it is doing left shoe politics. That's crazy. We're talking about your taxes, your healthcare, war, abortion choices. All
Mr. Oompa Loompa. Yeah,
it's less contentious than talking about
about
Batman. It's crazy. I've had one death threat. You know what it was from?
What?
Yeah,
you too.
This. Yeah. It was from.
Oh my god.
It was from this, not from my position on Obama versus Trump or whatever on this. And so it gets crazy out there. And so you're very much a voice of reason, and you have 3,000-4,000 Twitter followers, and I think you're very influential with your group. And
I just like to think that I'm just a very open-minded and level-headed person, and I think I have to be because I see people my age who are not level-headed, and I don't know why that's in me. I could talk about the way my parents raised me or what I've seen in the past 20 years of my life. But, you know, you have to be level-headed. I don't see how you can't be level-headed. I mean, at the end of the day, we all love this, but like, is it really worth your time if you're yelling at people online about a superhero movie? You know what I mean?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Rick, we said this, you know, when we were talking about BVS a year ago on these podcasts, that just because I personally don't like BVS doesn't mean that you can't. It should not affect your enjoyment of that film because someone else doesn't feel the same way about it as you did.
Justin likes BVS.
Yes. I could go off on a whole tangent about how people don't even make up their own minds anymore. They just see a score for a movie's critic rating, and they decide to just latch onto that. It's just
true. Yes.
Just make up your own mind, love what you love, and just respect that some people won't or will like what you like. It's you know, I just, you know.
And let me just say this, and because I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to give my opinion on this trailer, because then I want to transition to Ryan, because we're going to end this on a positive note, because I'm not going to be not positive, but my honesty is not necessarily going to be rah-rah cheerleader news here about this
Well,
trailer.
it might be towards Gal Gadot.
But yes, sure. Absolutely, 100% on everything. But we'll end it with Ryan, who also has something to read on behalf of Justin that we requested because he can't be here and we wanted his voice heard on this as well. So let me just say this. At the end of the day, we are Batman fans, DC fans, specifically Batman fans. You don't not like, you're not being positive about Batman if you don't like BVS, or you're not excited about Justice League any more than you're not being positive about Batman if you don't like Batman and Robin or Batman Forever, right? These are just various interpretations of characters that we love, and sometimes it'll work for us, other times it won't. And when we're passionate about it, it's because we're passionate about the character, not because we don't like the character. We want what's best. Batman's one of my best friends. I don't think my best friend's being properly represented in these new movies. That's my position. And that comes from a place of passion, not from a place of hate. So as far as the trailer goes, let me just say this. What I was kind of surprised by is that I was surprised that, to me, nothing changed. And what I mean by that is I thought, okay, this is going to feel different, look different. I'm excited. Okay, because I want to love it, right? And of course, there's little things that are always going to get me excited. I mean, I love these characters. So by virtue of loving these characters, did I like the Penguin reference that Alfred made? Of course I did. I was like, yes, Oswald Cobblepot's out there somewhere. That stuff is just, if you don't get excited about those little moments, then, you need to kind of check yourself. That's cool stuff, right? But at the end of the day, the trailer was still the same thing. It looked the same. It sounded the same. Yeah, it wasn't the same White Stripes version of Come Together or whatever, but it still was that kind of like Snyder rock and roll. I was a little disappointed. I was hoping that maybe they had some Danny Elfman stuff ready to go for this, but my guess is the next official trailer that comes out that we'll hear that, because that will obviously change the tone of the movie drastically. And so that's all I can say about this trailer, is it just doesn't do anything for me, and it doesn't change the needle in any capacity from the last one. To me, it just looks like the same old, same old. It gets into a CGI slugfest that just I have no interest in. But going back to something Conner said, I love the cast. Every single member, every actor.
The cast is great.
The cast is great. And that is going to get me through the film, whether I like it or not, that I love the characters and I love the actors playing them. And so I'll go see this movie 10 times in the theater. No matter, I don't care if I walk away and it's an A+ or I walk away and it's an F. I will support this film tremendously. And there are some aspects about it that I'm excited for. And that's what I'm going to just kind of latch onto, because right now I'm just kind of meh to the project. So
can I just say something?
Sure.
We've seen 2 trailers now, and unless something dramatically and drastically changes in the last one or the last 2 that they give us, I'll say this. I think this is going to end up still being Snyder's film, and I really do believe that Joss is literally just taking the pieces and the pieces that he shot, and he's just respectfully putting it all together. I was one of those who was expecting to watch this and be like, oh, wow, there's the Josh moment. Oh, you can see his influence, but it's not there. It's still a Zack Snyder film. And unless that changes in the next 2 trailers, I think it's going to stay a Zack Snyder film. And I know some people don't like Snyder's filmmaking and his approach to that, but all I'm saying is I was a bit shocked that I didn't see any of Josh's influence in this at all.
Nor did I.
You'll see his influence in the writing and in the additional.
Well, yeah, because he was brought on to do some character moments, which is great because he is great.
And you can't really pick up on that in trailers that much.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is the visual tone of this film and the aesthetic will probably end up still being very Zack Snyder, which will either get you very excited or make you very unenthusiastic, depending on your thoughts on the guy.
I agree with that. Yes,
I agree with that as well. That's very well said. All right, so Ryan, before we get to your thoughts, do you mind? You have something from Justin to read. Is that correct?
I have a giant scroll of text from Justin, actually. So what
are Justin's? Justin, can you do a Justin accent and just role play?
Yeah, bro. All right, guys, bro. Dark Knight Rises sucks and orphan vision, bro.
Batman Returns rules. I love the goose spewing baby.
No, that's just what you do, man.
Matt Shrek is awesome, and so is his son Chip. All right, that was That was my coffee kicking in. All right, so Justin, what did you think of the new Justice League footage?
All right, let's see. He said, as I waited in the Comic-Con DC booth area for the cast of the Justice League to appear, which we all know he's at Comic-Con right now, he says, something happened. I received a notification on my phone from Twitter. Twitter said the new Justice League Comic-Con trailer was available, so I did what any true hero would do. I played it on my phone for all of us waiting to see. We huddled around my iPhone 7 to view a granted buffering every few seconds square ratio version of the trailer.
Opinion on the trailer, or what is this?
No, he gets into it.
This is diary.
It's his story.
I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Okay. But he couldn't see the trailer good and he couldn't hear it good, but he still says it was glorious. Was it? Oh my God. Was it better than The Empire Strikes Back? Maybe it was, Rick.
And he says, Rick, get out of here with that noise.
But hyperbole aside, we were all pumped, and I united with strangers who had strong-smelling body odor and cheered for these heroes we have longed to see together on the big screen, looking like they leaped from the pages of floppies. Smell those floppies. You know, he means comic books, you guys. Okay. For your Let's Go Comic Show fans. I was a fan of the last trailer, so it probably was a given that I would enjoy whatever they were going to put out. What I didn't expect was the blatant Superman overture without him being there. I loved it.
Which I like.
I love that too, by the way. I only wish that the previous movies set him up as well as this trailer did. I also agree with that.
Yes.
I also agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I told somebody on Twitter.
Yeah, they're talking about this Superman like this is Chris Reeve's Superman. But
Which,
excites me.
If
that's what they take to retroactively fix the damage they did to that beloved character in BVS, because they got him right in Man of Steel, they screwed it up in BVS.
Oh, I'm so worried how the world views me instead of I could get into that.
Let's fix him and give Henry Cavill a proper Steel sequel.
My thing is, let's just give Henry more to do in general. I always feel like they don't fully utilize the guy.
He's great. And anybody that says he's not...
He's so funny in Man from U.N.C.L.E. He was so funny.
He's great in Superman. Go ahead.
I mean, it's clear they're trying to do something different.
But I'm a hater. Go ahead.
Well, no, just for my... It might be easier if I just throw my opinions in intermittently here, but like, I love the way the Superman stuff happened in the trailer, you know, and I do agree. It was like, I told somebody on Twitter, it was like, you know, I loved... If there was no BVS... I could have got on board with the way that this story is playing out with Superman from the start, but unfortunately, BVS does exist, and that makes it a little tricky with the transition. But anyway, I love the way that the Superman's all over that trailer. You know, Batman's looking at a hologram,
especially the ending.
Yeah, Batman's looking at a hologram of him. They talk about Superman at the beginning and during the trailer. The Superman theme starts playing. That's when I really thought, okay, they are doing something pretty interesting here.
I hope I go into this movie and I walk out and I'm like, you know what? He was only in the movie for 10 minutes, but what a glorious 10 minutes Henry had.
Yeah.
I really hope.
Yeah, and he showed, and for people that think it's Green Lantern or Blue Devil or something at the end of the trailer, like, no, it's Superman. Come on now.
Jeremy Irons and Henry Cavill.
Alfred is talking to Superman in that scene. I'd put $1,000 on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to Justin. He says, I only wish the previous movie set Superman up as well as this trailer did. If you want a nitpick, that was it. The subtle lanterns mention was pretty awesome to hear. Yep. Maybe it has nothing to do with the Green Lanterns. Yes, it does, Justin. But as of now, my headcanon says yes. And by the way, I loved Steppenwolf's voice in this, his line and stuff. You know, no protectors here, no lanterns, no Kryptonian. I mean, I thought that was really cool. I'm not a fan of Steppenwolf's look, and by the way, we got a lot of Steppenwolf in this trailer if you pay attention, which I was pretty surprised about. But Justin goes on to say, some things that pop out, Alfred mentioning the robotic penguin bombs made me smile. The shot of Batman perched on a gargoyle, Gordon pulling on the bat signal. I just loved all the visuals of Batman. Even more so, it made me more invested in Affleck staying on as Bruce. He looks great in the role. I hope he meant these words he said, but I'm not going to take it as gospel until he's filming. The Flash looks to be the crowd pleaser and the scene stealer. I'm liking what I'm seeing from him more and more in these trailers, but that's all I want. No more giving away
I
scenes.
agree with that, by the way. I just want to say
I do too.
Ezra Miller's great.
I love the part where he says, "Look, I don't fight in battles. I just push people." Yeah. I'm very vulnerable. It's a good scene. It's really good. That part is great.
yeah, I am now starting to get, open to the idea of being invested in Ezra Miller's Flash with this trailer, because there's enough little pieces there where his quirks, before this, we're just seeing weird quirks from him, but now those quirks are given like a purpose, and his story beats are kind of starting to come through, and I'm on board with that. I think it's going to be interesting. Justin also says, because I too am a surfer dude, Aquaman has me pumped up for his movie. The scene of him swimming underwater is rad. The dude bro version of Aquaman can work for me. It's akin to Brave and the Bold. He better say outrageous in the film and not in the next and hopefully final trailer.
Yeah, he better say outrageous. And I'm serious as can be, because you know how much I love Batman.
There's no reason for him not to, because
that would be such an inside, because 90% of the people watching that film will have no idea what that's about. But
yeah,
I will
love it though. Yeah.
So Ryan, did you like the trailer, Ryan?
Now, okay, we'll take a mid Justin break here. So,
you're only halfway through with that?
yes, I am. So
Justin, I'm kidding.
My disclaimer is, trailers are trailers. You look at BVS and we were like, these trailers look interesting, and then the movie, we didn't like it. Or Suicide Squad, the trailers were awesome. God. The trailers were awesome, but the movie itself was really not great. So my disclaimer, that's my disclaimer, is like, no matter how good a trailer is, you're really not going to know.
That's true. That's very true.
You're really not going to know until you see the movie. Having said that, I absolutely love this trailer. I mean, I did feel like there was a slight visual difference between the two. Yeah, maybe that's just because we're seeing more scenes, more context, more story. In the last trailer it was a lot of, dark at night action scenes and stuff. But in here we're getting more scenes, more context. Like there's a scene at the end where, all the Justice League sans Batman and Superman are standing at Superman's grave memorial, like looking towards the camera. Like there's stuff like that that's just really cool. And like we talked about Flash, there's cool character moments from him. Cyborg even stood out to me, where he has that scene where he takes control of the Nightcrawler and talks to Alfred. I thought that was like really well done.
That's my favorite moment of the trailer.
It's great. It's really great.
I love Jeremy Irons as Alfred.
Jeremy Irons, and that's one of those things where you're like, yeah, well, how much chemistry could Cyborg and Alfred have together, or even share a scene together? But there it is, and it's actually good. So I'm impressed. I was impressed with that.
I'm sorry. Do I know you? It's a great.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, do I know you? Yeah. So I thought that was good. And like I said earlier, Superman's theme in it kind of shows you a lot of the Superman stuff and a lot of what Bruce says in the trailer. It's starting to give an intro to the through line of the story, how each Justice League member, sans Superman, needs each other to succeed. They need to come together in the wake of what happened to Superman, and then use his influence as the final piece of the puzzle. Hopefully when Superman does return, they can be like the true Justice League or whatever. Bruce talking about how each of them is held back and they need to work together and stuff. So I liked all that stuff coming through. Now, like I said, we'll wait until we see the movie to see how well it comes across. Yeah. But, and I'm starting to get interested in, I assume a lot of the stuff at the beginning of the trailer we will be seeing at the beginning of the film too, because it is kind of a setup of a transition from BVS, where they talk about the world remains in mourning after the death of Superman, and crime waves around the world. And I wonder if that tied into what the Wonder Woman scene at the beginning, maybe. And they mentioned Lex Luthor in Arkham Asylum, which I'm also like, yeah, well, maybe you should have left that
in the actual
in the actual movie.
God.
Yeah, that was annoying.
Can we all hope that no matter how the film turns out, I do not need a 3-hour Justice League Ultimate Cut.
We need whatever comes in the theater. It needs to be the movie.
Yes.
Yep. And they talk about where Batman is, and he's a no-show, he's missing, and I'm assuming that's because he's forming the Justice League. That's my guess. And just little characters too, like Gordon. He looks awesome. I mean, there's a lot of things that seem disjointed and just like, I don't know how this is going to work out in the last trailer. There's enough in this new one where I felt like, okay, I am starting to see the cohesion a little bit more, but I still have to wait and see the movie to see if that's true or not.
For me, how I sum up this trailer is this trailer shows what DC wants to be. The question is, Can they be it?
Can they deliver this? Yeah.
Yeah, great. That's a great point. I would agree with that. Yes.
Yeah. Justin goes on to talk about the Amazons. He says everything Gal Gadot in looks great, which is true.
Obviously.
Leading into the team battle was great. Gal Gadot is wonderful. I love her. Cyborg looked better this time around. We just talked about that. I like the hacking into the systems, and he looks to be the weak. Okay, I have a comment to make on this. Justin says he looks to be the weakest of the characters in the trailers, but that may change in the film, and I hope it does because I like Vic Stone and Ray Fisher has some serious charisma with the fans, and I hope it shows through in the film, and he likes the Alfred interaction. Now, my comment to that is, and THR also had an article about like, oh, why is Cyborg not, second fiddle? And I'm like, well, because that's part of the story. Cyborg is a reluctant member of the team, and we're going to see, and I think we've heard that he's going to be kind of an emotional through line for a lot of the team members. So I think that's why he might feel that way. Plus, that's kind of the way it was in the comics when they introduced Cyborg, like in the New 52 Justice League, which this movie seems to take a lot of influence from story wise in a lot of ways. Because Cyborg was not an original member of the Justice League. He's only been there since the New 52. So I think that's the reason why he comes across that way. So, but hopefully in the film, we'll see the full picture. Justin's last little bit is, he says, it's hard to recollect everything, and I've seen it about 4 times. The final tease with Superman is great. We all know he's coming. I hope it's glorious and triumphant, but who knows? The film and the trailers are 2 different things for me. Exactly, Justin. All the beats felt fun and a great premise for big action and great character moments, but I know there's problems. I'm not blind. I can see the fire. I'm hoping that through it all, something can be forged that is special and worthy of our heroes. I really want to love this film and have another win like Wonder Woman, and I want to cheer the Alamo Draft House with my buddies as Batman punches parademons in the face, because that is more heavy metal than a Rick Shew workout Motley Crue playlist.
Oh, boy, got a little Motley Crue job in there.
And he gives this trailer a let's go. Shameless plug.
All right. And so, Ryan, to wrap this up here for you, you are cautiously optimistic about the film, but you're feeling
that's a good way to put it.
Feeling pretty good about it. You like this trailer.
With the trailer and seeing the cast at Comic-Con and the poster, and it did move the needle for me. Like awesome. I am a little bit, I'm still wait and see, but I am more interested in the story. I'm more invested in the characters than I was with the last trailer. So cautiously optimistic is a good way to put it. Yep.
I think that's great. I am not, but here's the deal. It doesn't even matter at this point. I'm going to see it. Yeah. I'll see it at a press release. We're going to see it at our Austin watch party. Connor, you need to come to that, man.
I would love to. That'd be great.
Yeah, man. I'll send you an invite for that. We're gonna have a watch party at the Alamo Draft House in Austin. We're gonna all go out
November
afterwards.
18th. November 18th.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter. I'm seeing it 5 times the minimum at the theater, regardless. So I just hope that
I'll hold you to that, Rick.
I will. I mean, I'll have with Batman in it. I saw Batman and Robin in the damn theater.
Hey, Rick, how many times did you see BVS? Just for the haters,
10.
Many times. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, literally. I mean, because I can't go with people that hadn't seen it. Yeah, of course I did. And quite frankly, for me, BVS out of the gate, I liked it a lot better then than I do now. It started to break down for me with each viewing. That's why I kind of avoid it. If it's on HBO, I'll watch a few minutes of it, and I hope to catch the parts I like. I always feel like every freaking time it does, it's on Doomsday, I'm like, I'll find Golden Girls.
But it's not bad or wrong if your opinion changes on a film with more viewings. It's not disingenuous.
It goes. That can go either way.
Yeah, I mean,
my opinion
and you said
on B versus S has changed quite a bit. It's gone up and down.
Has it?
Up and down.
It's gone up and down.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think the director's cut changed that, but that's a story for another day.
Hey, in 1999, the day the movie came out, I've never would have guessed that 18 years later I could sit down and actually defend the Phantom Menace to people. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, hey, Bill, you had an interesting theory. Listen, we're at an hour now, so we need to kind of wrap this up.
Yeah,
but
let's get going.
This is an important part. So, Bill, you had a theory on how, kind of coming full circle with Affleck, if he does indeed not return, that there is a way out, and it could be vis-a-vis the Flash. Is that true?
I thought for a while before I really thought they would do the Flashpoint that the easiest out for them would be to do prequels, because you've got a Batman who's been Batmaning for 20 years. Lots of stories to tell with a younger, in his prime Batman. But that when I saw the Flashpoint thing yesterday, that completely changes what I think. I think now that it can very easily be with a with a new. I mean, in my opinion, this means this is their way of soft rebooting this deal.
Yes.
And still keeping the cinematic universe.
Yes, exactly.
The brilliant thing about this is that they can put all their crazy, cool, like comic book, reset the universe stuff in Flashpoint, and then it doesn't have to affect a new solo Batman movie at
Which
all.
Which is super exciting.
And it's super exciting, and guess what? It's just like they would do it in the comic books. Your Batman solo title is unaffected, and it just happens to change a little bit for the fans. There's an explanation, but for everybody else, it doesn't matter. And I think that's brilliant and cool. And Flashpoint, by the way, is a very, very popular story.
I told my brother about it, and he knew exactly what I was talking about. He's not a comic fan.
Exactly. Yeah, aside from the and for people that think that they're not going to reboot stuff with Flashpoint, yes they are. You know why? Yeah. Because that's the function of Flashpoint. Yes. People we tried to second guess Doomsday for BVS, like maybe he won't kill Superman. Yes, he did. You know why? Because that's what Doomsday does. And on the other hand, that's what Flashpoint does. Flashpoint gives them that. They're not going to do Flashpoint and not use it as an opportunity to change things if they want to. But as a film itself, Flashpoint can be super cool by itself too, because you can have Azrael's Flash doing things like, and if they take cues from the comic books, that means we could get a Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
He teased it on his Twitter.
He teased it, because if you know the comic book, Thomas Wayne becomes Batman and Martha Wayne becomes the Joker. So we could have a Lauren Cohen Joker and a Jeffrey D. Morgan Batman, and that's badass.
This is their backup plan. Like, this is completely their fail-safe if Justice League just doesn't work. They're like, cool, reboot time.
And guess what? As cool as that is, we're going to get that in addition to whatever cool solo Batman movie comes out. So I think that's nothing but a cool, positive thing.
And that's just it. And on that note, we're going to wrap this up, and I'm going to say that despite my negativity is a hard word, but despite my indifference to Justice League, I'm very excited about everything that's on the slate. 2018, 2019, 2020, I think are going to be 3 great years for the DCEU. I really do. I'm super excited about a Wonder Woman sequel. I'm way crazy excited about a Matt Reeves Batman solo film. I think Aquaman's going to be kick-ass. I mean, there's just a lot of really cool things. So there's a lot to be grateful for, a lot to be excited for.
Let me jump in just for 1 second, Rick, before we go. Back just real quick back to Flashpoint, and let's focus specifically on how it could affect the solo film for Batman and Matt Reeves. To me, it opens the door for a younger Batman. If you want to take the point of view that Ben could leave and Matt Reeves wants to do his own thing, well, here you go, right there, Flashpoint and so forth. So I just want to go real quick, like Ron, Connor, and Rick, how do you see Flashpoint affecting the Batman solo series with Matt Reeves?
I think it'll definitely give Matt Reeves some freedom, because he clearly, the rumor is he wants to do a trilogy, and I don't know if he wants his trilogy to use the deeply flawed, I've seen so much crap in 20 years, Bruce Wayne, Ben Affleck Batman. I don't know if he wants that.
I'm with you.
And so, I don't know. It's very interesting, because when Reeves has talked about this, he's said, I went into Warner Brothers and I pitched him a specific idea. And so they seem to want to give him the freedom to do whatever he wants to do, as they should.
Yes.
And so, regardless, good or bad, it is going to be a very, very interesting next few years for Warner Brothers DC universe.
Yep, I agree. Brian?
Yeah, like I said, that's the thing. It's Flashpoint gives them an out. They can do all their crazy reset whatever stuff in Flashpoint. They could
even give Ben Affleck a final, curtain call in Flashpoint and have him do some
absolutely
crazy stuff. And then Ben's like, I'm out. I had 3 films. I did a Keaton. Yeah. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm going to go be a director again.
Live by night too.
Yeah. But yeah, it gives everybody an out, and it still maintains the integrity of the shared cinematic universe, and it's the best possible thing. And that gives the Flash a cool movie. It's going to make sure the Batman solo film gets to be the creative movie that it needs to be, and it's going to give Matt Reeves that freedom. So
I agree. Good. Yeah, Rick, any thoughts real quick before we wrap this up, dude?
Me directly?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry. I couldn't hear if you said my name. No, I agree with everything that you guys said, and I love the idea that Conner just said that they could give Affleck a final curtain call. They may very well do something like that. Who knows? Let's look
at what Batman proper does in Flashpoint, and there's some good stuff in there. So Affleck could play off that or be inspired by that, and it could be good too. So
yeah, absolutely. There's a lot
of and think about this. There's like a war between the Atlanteans and the Amazons too in Flashpoint. So you could see cool alternate versions of, Aquaman and Wonder Woman too. So
Jason
there's lots
Momoa
of good stuff.
With bleached short hair. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. So listen, Conner, we always wrap this up with our plugs. I'm assuming you've got something to plug, man. You're all over the place.
Oh, gee, I'm hoping someone will give me a plug. I wrap up school with my bachelor's degree in 4 weeks. I'm writing for the Galveston Daily News, Texas's oldest newspaper, which is great. And I've been writing for publications like the Washington Post. So I'm happy to continue writing for a bunch of different outlets, and I'm looking forward to what the future brings for me as a writer.
Yeah, so on your Washington Post piece, wasn't it about female?
It was about female representation in film and what Wonder Woman will mean for the future of females in blockbusters.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it was a good article.
Awesome. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, good for you, man. I think you're sharp, and I wish you nothing but the best, and we'll have to have you back on sometime soon.
I would love to.
Yeah, absolutely,
awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm sure that you're gonna have people like, "Why is he on Batman on film?" But I think they'll.
Hey, no, this is a good.
I think they'll appreciate
everybody.
I think we got both sides here today, which is very nice.
Yep.
We're extending the bridge to people. We're gonna hold hands.
I'm still trying to. I invite people all the time to come on. Let's go right now. We'll talk about it. I still haven't had one of the fanboys actually take me up on the offer. So I'm still waiting.
Maybe we can get Wizard 44 on the show.
Right. Oh, so I was going to say this real fast. I've been trying to do that for 2 years, or at least a year for Left Shew. I'll get into some debate. I'm like, hey, you know what? Let's get off social media. Let's jump on a show and discuss healthcare or whatever. They're like, whoa, wait a minute. Slow your roll. I'm not getting on a show, but it's fun. I hope one day somebody's going to take me up on that. I think that's going to be a kick-ass.
I would love it. I would so love it.
And I think I think it would be great, and it would be respectful, and I would applaud anyone that would actually take me up on that offer. And somebody's going to do it, and they're going to probably kick my ass on a show and make me look like a fool. And you know what? Good. And I hope that does happen. Okay, Ryan, what are you going to plug, man?
Follow me on Twitter at SMB_Ryan. Please leave this podcast some more iTunes reviews. And I'm on the Robin, Tim Drake, Everyone Loves a Drake podcast, and we just came out with a new episode, number 57. We talk about some Nightfall Aftermath stuff, comic book stuff. So it's a really good episode, so you can check that out. If you go to Twitter on at ELTD Podcast, you'll find it, and you'll also find it on the BatmanPodcastNetwork.com page.
I totally forgot to plug my Twitter. You can follow me at ConnorFilm, ConnorFilm. There you have it.
Awesome.
Yeah, follow that dude.
Follow him. He's good, man. He's good people. Wild Bill, what you got? You want to plug anything, or you just?
Oh, Announcer Rachel will do that for me.
Yeah, Announcer Rachel will do that. Are you ready for football, dude?
Yes. I am.
I'm ready for football.
Because I have when it starts for me, it starts big time because I actually coach football for a living. So yeah, I'll be footballing up here very shortly. Yes.
Yeah, you and I are going to the Dallas Green Bay game. That'll be exciting. And by the way, I've already got my Texas OU tickets lined up, dude.
Really?
Yep. Sure do.
Have fun at the Cotton Bowl.
That's going to be. Hey, listen, the first.
It's a great event, but that stadium.
Two brand new head coaches. There's no way I'd miss this game in person. It's going to be a good time. So I'm going to just say this. There's a lot. Go ahead. What?
I was going to say real quick, just to because, to support the Nolanverse, everybody go see Dunkirk. It's really good.
It is a phenomenal film.
Isn't it? It's fantastic.
There's parts of that film that are still sticking with me.
Mm-hmm. I got to see it again. It's so good.
I had a press release thing I just couldn't go. Marty had
couldn't make it Monday night either.
I couldn't make it. I was very bummed. I did email them and let them know, Bill, but I can't wait to go see it. I'm going to go see it next week. I can't wait.
Yeah. And if you have the opportunity to see it in a large format like 70 millimeter IMAX, do it because it's worth it.
Yep. Okay, follow me on Twitter, Shewrick, SHEWRICK, and here's just a few cool things we have coming on Batman on Film. We still have our podcast to do our top 8 to 10 favorite comic book scenes. That's going to be awesome. We're going to talk about the very we're going to have a very heated, contentious discussion on the masterpiece known as The Dark Knight Rises. I can't wait for that. And hopefully FJ's coming on that show. And also, Ryan came up with an idea to do a Rocky podcast, and I think it's great. And yesterday, Stallone tweeted that he now has a script for Creed 2, and it includes Dolph Lundgren's Ivan Drago.
It's very interesting.
I can't. That's blowing my mind where he's going to take that, and I'm just guessing that there's going to be I think Creed Adonis is just going to be looking for more things about his dad, and I think he just wants to meet the guy that killed his dad. I don't think he's going to fight his son. I think there could be some powerful stuff there. So we're going to do a Rocky podcast soon. And then other than that, follow also Left Shoe Politics if that's your thing, SHEW.
Yes, and come to our Justice League watch party. I know Rick mentioned it, but I really want that to be a fun time in Austin.
And I'll let announcer Rachel take us all out.
Hey now! You've been listening to the Batman on Film podcast, a proud member and the sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network, BatmanPodcastNetwork.com. You can listen to the BOF podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, and wherever good podcasts like this one can be found. Want to advertise on the BOF podcast? Go to advertisecast.com/the Batman on Film Con podcast. Follow Jett on Twitter at Batman on Film and on BOF's Facebook fan page at facebook.com/jet.batmanonfilm. Email Jett via jet@batman-on-film.com. Follow Rick on Twitter at ShewRick and on Facebook at facebook.com/BOF-Shew. For Jett, Rick, Justin, and Ryan, I'm announcer Rachel. Thanks for listening.